Hello, everybody.
Nice.
I'm going to show off Odin for a second. So, welcome back, everyone, to Batch Bros Live. This is the episode 3 recap. Oh, shoot, I done messed it up already. This is the week 3 recap of Bachelor in Paradise with me, the Han Factor, and my trusty side host. I was going to call you my sidekick, but that's just disrespectful. Co-host.
Talking about Odin or me?
We'll talk about Odin to spare your feelings, but my co-host, as always, Josh the Tasty Kebab. Josh, welcome back.
That's all right. I know I got to take a back seat to Odin. He's the real star of the show.
I know. I mean, look at this. He just needs so much attention. I'm gonna put him up here so that he maybe lays down and isn't crawling in my lap the whole entire time. But that doesn't look like it's very promising. But yeah, welcome back, everybody. I'd like to start this episode by saying a Cardi B quote, Josh, if that's okay with you. So,
let it rip.
Yeah, so Cardi B once said in a tweet, she said, "Sometimes it's okay to wake up and choose violence at least once a week once a month, sorry." And I can't think of anything that better describes this week's episodes than just straight violence. So, but it was rather entertaining, but this was an interesting one at that. So, but yeah.
I feel like you just had some Wisconsin coming out of you there too.
How so?
Just kind of squeaked in a little bit of an accent.
I don't think so. You're making stuff up.
I don't know about the violence exactly, for monthly or even especially weekly thing, but I would say a lot of these people subscribe to that philosophy.
Yeah, I mean, it was rather violent. So I don't even know what else to say other than
Let's just jump right in then.
All right, give me one second.
We start off and we get some new faces.
We do, but even like before that, I mean, we've got the foreshadowing coming down. We've got Deandra and Demi talking about how they need some more boys on the beach, and lo and behold, right down the stairs, we get people that I don't really know. I was not really watching Tayshia/Claire's season at this point, but we get a guy named Chris and a guy named Chasen, who are known as the Smoke Bros, because I guess they called women smoke shows, right? Is that what it is? You kind of give me the backstory of Chasen and Chris for me.
Yeah. Oh, so Chris, did I crack?
Yeah, no, your mic acted weird, but you're good. So.
All right, let's keep going then. Chris, he was a night 1 kickoff, so.
Oh, he didn't last long then.
Yeah, pretty sure. At least if he was on past the first night, I have no recollection of him. Chasen was on for a while. Yeah, he is most famously known for calling Tayshia a smoke show, and a lot of the other guys took issue with that.
Oh, really?
At the time, I was kind of like, all right, whatever. I guess their view is more that it was like some objectification of her as opposed to actually respecting her. But like, he just kept coming back with that. Didn't really have anything to say of substance. And then, kind of as you get to see him more Chasen, you get to see his character, and so maybe not a lot of substance there for him either.
Oh, really? So he's just kind of boring, or not boring, but doesn't really have a whole lot of personality outside of the calling people smoke shows.
Yeah,
that's all there was to it,
bro.
Yeah.
His other notable situation is that he really butted heads with a guy in the season whose name was Ed. And I wouldn't say Ed was that different personality wise.
Just two bros going at it.
Yeah, but maybe a little bit nicer. He got a little more personality with him. Ed's, I think, most famous moment on the show was he was wandering around the villas looking for Tayshia to go talk to late at night, and stumbles onto Chris Harrison's suite.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
And shares some wine with Chris, and they just chat all night instead. So that was quite enjoyable.
I need to talk to my girlfriend, i.e. Chris Harrison. All right, yeah, so Chasen and Chris, they hit the beach. They like to call women that they find attractive smoke shows. I don't really have any big objection to that. I thought, like who, Serena says it, and I mean, everybody's different and entitled their opinion, but I mean, if a girl called me a smoke show, I'd like it.
I mean, I think kind of
it's
the debate
different
on it.
Yeah.
I've seen is goes to like, well, what does that really even mean? Because some people were interpreting it to be like, okay, well, if it's just like smoke and mirrors and not actually what's there, then you're saying that, well, it's just kind of like the appearance, but there's no substance.
I mean,
something.
To sit there and say that
As
you
opposed
don't
to
like
just being something that you enjoy looking at. I don't know.
I mean, I think that it's kind of ridiculous to be like, you've never said that, hey, that person's hot, or like made a statement about it. Obviously that's surface level stuff, but I mean, come on. So
I mean, it's going into like connotation and all that. I don't know. I've never used that phrase before. I don't think I've ever heard anybody like in person use it. So it's kind of weird. It definitely seems like it's kind of like a douchey, bro-y
sure
thing.
I'll give you that.
But I wouldn't say that anyone's being disrespected or insulted by being called a smoke show.
All right, so we've got we got the smoke shows on the beach. Chris and Chasen. I hope I don't mess up their names. They seem like one person to me in my head. And it didn't help that we got our first
Smoke Bros.
Yeah, Smoke Bros. We got our first double date of the show. I don't know that they've ever done this before on Bachelor in Paradise, at least not that I can recall. They probably have, but it doesn't spark any of my memory, at least, where they say, all right, each of you find somebody you want to go on a date with, and you're going to go on a date together. So we see them kind of chat up a few people. Chris seems much more decided almost immediately who he wants to ask. He goes straight to Jasenia and says, hey, like, I really want to get to know you. You're kind of why I came to the beach in the first place. I'd like to go on a date with you. And Chasen has a few conversations. Seems that he's vibing the most with Deandra and asks her out. And they both say yes, and they go on a date, right? Not really anything too exciting leading up to it. Carl seems to be rubbed a little bit the wrong way, but I mean, come on, it's Carl. I don't really care.
Yeah, I was like, Carl, shut up. She was never actually into you.
Yeah.
This is definitely just this survival thing.
I thought the same thing. I was like, Carl, nobody cares. Moving on. So let's not give Carl the limelight is what my thought was for most of the episode. But yeah, so they go on this double date, and we stumble upon this flute lady playing, and we've got the quintessential Bachelor date of, well, you don't really know each other, so time to put yourself in compromising poses and cuddle, if you will. And even weirder, we're going to have you, like, lay down on top of each other and blow on each other. Strange, right, Josh?
Not exactly my idea of a good time.
Yeah, I was very thrown off. And I thought, Josh, I kind of want to get your opinion. Would this be as weird if it wasn't a double date? I think it's infinitely weirder because there is, like, another couple next to you that you don't really know. Like, I guess Chris and Chasen might be friends, but they don't know each other certainly this well,
yeah.
right?
It's hard for me to imagine either way, honestly. Like,
it's weird.
Maybe you just, like, laugh more, but then I feel like you're losing some of the intimacy of a date there too that should be happening. So yeah, it's a very bizarre double date. I would say this would have made more sense to do, like, the water skiing or something like that. But,
yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. And I mean, thankfully, none of the contestants told another contestant that they smelled like their mom, which is an improvement from a couple weeks ago. So they at least have, now that they've seen that, they know, hey, maybe a bad idea to be in a compromising position with a woman.
Yeah, I think they would have done that otherwise. They probably learned a lot there.
Yeah, that showed some growth. They learned that was probably not what they wanted to hear. So,
I would have thought, though. I mean, it's such a surprise.
It's such a nice thing to tell somebody. Hey, you smell like my mom. Let's make out. But, yeah, and the date only gets weirder from there, Josh, because they then go into these Kama Sutra poses.
Oh, yeah.
So we go from straddling each other and essentially spitting on one another. And and we go to, all right, well,
let's mount each other.
Yeah, get down on your knees and let me mount you. I don't know. The whole thing was weird. So, I was thinking that it might be less weird if it's just like a single couple, but I think you're right. It's just kind of weird regardless. So
yeah, I mean, like, I was expecting them to go into some like multiple couple poses here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know exactly how it would work with 4 people, but I was expecting like some sort of Eiffel Tower or something.
I at one point expected them to like kind of give themselves a high five but it just seemed the whole thing just seems so strange and off-putting. I don't know, it seems unnecessary. I like the show for more of the conversations that we get to see in the real relationship building, not the awkward stuff that they show like that. But I don't know, at least that's my opinion.
It's entertaining for the scandal, I'm sure.
I guess. I don't know. It didn't seem that scandalous. It just seemed weird. But yeah, anyway, let's kind of get to the talking portion, because I don't really even remember them showing much of Chasen and Deandra's conversation on that date. Do you?
Yeah, I can't say I really remember anything that happened there.
Yeah, I didn't write anything down.
Jumped over to
Chris and Jasenia, and I mean, Josh, I knew things were gonna go bad for your boy Ivan at that point, right?
Oh man, yeah, because I wrote down to ask you, like, even just kind of going into the date, what are your thoughts with Chris stepping in here?
So I have some interesting thoughts. It's they all kind of come with a list of like who they would like to see on the beach, and some of them have seen the other shows. Jasenia certainly doesn't remember Chris from the one episode he was on Claire and Tayshia's season, if that's the case, right? So why is he on her list of men to see, right? So does she know that he's going to come to the beach? Is my first question.
Mari was talking about Jasenia knowing Chris would be there, and I'm just like, what? That's, yeah, it was weird. Through some internet sleuthing.
Oh, you did?
People. Yeah.
Well, so I wasn't the only one that I wasn't the only one that caught on to that then. Okay.
Apparently sometime in May, they were spotted together in, I think, like Katie's story or something. In a Polaroid together. So
they've hung out outside of Bachelor in Paradise.
They're in a Polaroid on Instagram. So like they've at some point spent some time together.
Yeah.
Which is another kind of like, okay, come on, guys. If you want to date, why didn't you just do it?
That's a question for the audience, right? I think that it's suspicious, certainly. Like, I thought to myself immediately that this whole thing seemed a little bit odd. Like, why is she so invested in this person that I don't think should know?
Yeah, like, theoretically, she shouldn't really know him coming in, because he wasn't really on the show. He's there for an instant, and I mean, I guess, some people go and cyber stalk their contestants that they like immediately after seeing them night one. But outside of that, like, yeah, I can't say I've seen anybody even talk about him.
No.
Let alone remembering him from his intro.
Yeah. But, I mean, I knew it was pretty much done for Ivan, and then when she said the line of, you fill the thing that's missing between me and Ivan, that's concerning.
Yeah.
I think it's donezo at that point, right?
Well, okay, so do we want to talk about the conversation that Jasenia has with Ivan
Yeah,
later?
we can too. I kind of wrote that down, but we can get to that. It didn't seem like it was much of a conversation. It was kind of like, hey, it's over. So.
Yeah, well, because I had like some talking points kind of on the broader topic there.
Yeah, I just wrote down they're done when they were talking, but yeah, go ahead.
And that's what happened. So Ivan goes and tries to talk to Jasenia after she gets back from the date, but she's not really willing at all to even like
entertain the idea. Yeah,
she's like, oh well, hey, I'm with Chris now, and she brings up this point of like Ivan checks all of her boxes, but Chris has this spark.
Yep.
And she was like, oh well, you can't really force the spark. And I'm like, huh, well, yeah, you're right, you can't really force a spark, but if you go and force the boxes to get checked, that's not really exactly the formula for a healthy relationship there either.
Yeah, I don't know why people do that. I really hate the idea of having boxes of like.
It's gonna lead to a lot of resentment for like the things that you force them to do, force them to be, to fit your image of the ideal partner.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of that. I think it's okay. You should know what you want in a relationship, right? Like if somebody says, what are the things that you're looking for? It's like, okay, these are the qualities that I like in people, and these are the qualities of like what I would want in a partner. But to sit there and say
priorities on that, like what you're willing to compromise on.
Absolutely. I think everybody has deal breakers too, and you should be aware of that. Like, hey, I do not want to be in a relationship with somebody that has this value or whatever, right? And that's okay, but to be like, I need you to check every single one of these boxes, I just think that's a very unhealthy way of kind of starting a relationship to begin with. And like you said, I think it can lead to a lot of resentment. I agree with you, where you get in a relationship with somebody and then you realize it's okay, well, they check 7 of the 8 boxes. Well, how much are you going to hold that 8th box over their head? So, I don't know, but I don't like that. That's not how I have approached relationships, but not that I'm succeeding anyway, but
well, yeah, I'm just kind of like surprised too, because from what we had seen of Jasenia and Ivan prior to this point, like it seemed like there was a genuine connection there and like a degree of spark. Yeah, maybe they didn't like run back to the boom boom work some other couples have done, but
yeah, I don't know how I feel that it's called the boom boom
like
room now.
Well,
yeah, I think that it's interesting, right? Like I totally agree that I wonder, well, here, let me say this first. I wonder how long they were going to just kind of piddle around in their relationship if there was no spark to begin with. Right? With Jasenia and Ivan.
No spark on Jasenia's side. Yeah, I think she was probably sitting there like, okay, well, this could work out with Ivan, but I really want to date Chris, so I'll just like hold position until Chris gets there. What if Chris never shows up? Is she actually like gonna try to pursue that relationship still?
Yeah. I mean, after she told Chris that she has a spark with him and then ate a strawberry out of his mouth, I was like, okay, Ivan and Jasenia are done. I don't think there's any coming back from that regardless. Yeah. I will say that from the limited time that I've seen Chris, I didn't really like him that much. There's something about him. Maybe he seems kind of like similar to me, and so I don't like him, but I don't know, there was just something off. And I like Jasenia. She seems really cool, and I think she at least handled the whole breakup thing with Ivan well. She said, hey, I don't really have a spark with you, and it's important that I pursue this with him. She was honest.
It was good that she wasn't continuing to like lead him on and everything.
It
was pretty clear, and they were hanging out later in these next couple episodes.
Yeah, they seem cool. So
it's not like there's any bad blood or anything.
Yeah, and back on the beach, we get a cutaway too, and it's Noah talking to Ivan, and Noah says, I could totally see Chris and Jasenia working out. I don't know how he knows them, but he seems confident that it's not going to be that great. And then Demi gives him even more reassurance to Ivan, where she essentially says, you should be worried. So, but
oh, Demi.
Yeah. So
where would we be without her?
She was okay this episode, or this week. There were some things she did that irritated me, but then there were some things where I was like, I feel like Demi's kind of right in this situation. But like I said, we're
about to hit on that.
Yeah. So just moving away from the double date, I think we can go into like the initial Kenny and Mari drama, right? So.
And so this kind of like starts when Chasen comes down and starts talking.
Yeah.
To people, and he pulls Mari aside, and that kind of like brings up the whole conversation for Kenny and Mari. Well, is it okay for one of them to go on a date with other people at this point?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome to you.
Oh yeah, I mean, one of them for certainly thinks so. I think there was some serious miscommunication going on there from what was shown and kind of what that led into. A little bit of A, a little bit of B, but then it seemed like it wasn't that much of a miscommunication later on. Because initially, I didn't really have too much of an opinion, but then, I don't know, I just felt like I was watching a train wreck. But, so...
It was a bit of a train wreck.
The skinny of it is that Mari tells Kenny that she would be open to going on dates with somebody if somebody asked and seeing where that went. And Kenny was like, okay, so we're done, then, is what you're telling me. And I thought that may be a little bit more of a jump initially, because it seemed that as soon as she said that, he was very like, okay, we're done, And then, of course,
Mari basically said in her like interview with the camera after talking with Chasen that she wasn't really looking to get locked down by anyone at this point. Like, yeah, things have been fun with Kenny, but she wants her options to be open. And that combined with what she said to Kenny really led me to believe that she wasn't necessarily like done with the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they could still fall back to each other, but she wanted to go and talk to other people.
Well, I think that Mari, I agree with that assessment, first of all. And I think that Kenny says something later that kind of stuck with me, where he said, I've been in situations before where I haven't committed to something that's good, and then next thing you know, it's gone. And that's what kind of upset me about this, is that we have something good and she's not willing to commit to it.
Yeah,
and
because to me it really seemed like Kenny was like, okay, if you wanted to be exclusive here, let's do it.
Yeah.
And she wasn't willing to say yes, so he's just like, okay, well, I'm not going to act accordingly then.
Mm-hmm. And so, of course, Mari has a conversation with the femme fatale, Demi, and the rest is just a dumpster fire from there. So Demi gets a thought in her head and says, wow, Kenny's hot and Mari just opened up the door, so why don't I go talk to him? And next thing you know, we've got Demi and Kenny talking on a daybed. Those daybeds, man, they've seen some shit. That's all that I have to say about that.
Shady lady coming over.
Yeah, she sees an opportunity. The shady lady. She sees an opportunity and she pulls Kenny immediately to a daybed and they start talking, and then it's not really much of a conversation other than you're hot, let's make out, right?
Yeah, enjoying their shared taste of lack of clothes.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I wasn't sure that Kenny was into that conversation until she just kind of grabbed him and made out with him. It seemed kind of, I don't know. What were your thoughts?
I don't know that he wasn't like into it, but I think he was happy to be talking to another hot woman after basically being told that he wasn't worth locking down. So
yeah, I think I did not think that Kenny was going to be the hot commodity on the beach. I'll say that.
I don't think a lot of people did.
Yeah, I didn't think that there would be just women all over the place swooning. So, but lo and behold, I was wrong. But yeah, I mean,
Mari, of course, is seeing this go down too.
I mean, and this just is the spark of the. This is like the match. The match gets lit to be thrown into the dumpster to cause the dumpster fire, because the dumpster fire is yet. Yeah, it is yet to actually be witnessed, because I think that this all culminates later in the episode, which we'll talk about. But for right now, it's just so messy, and it's hard to navigate, and it's hard to really formulate an opinion at this point. But I mean, almost immediately, it seems like Kenny and Demi are going to be an item, and Mari's out of the picture. To me.
Yeah, that's the impression I got. And
you keep squeaking on. You had a really horrible sound there. So.
But yeah, Ari's asking if she's fucked things up, and my response was just like, yeah, well, yes, you have. And I didn't really have any sympathy for her at this point. It's like, you initiated all this, really. Like, yeah, you know, he's making out with someone you were also talking to, which, sure, like, kind of shitty, but at the same time, it's a competition and there are a limited number of matches. Demi needs to find somebody, so here she goes.
Yeah, I mean,
what do you expect there?
That is probably the last person I would have confided in. Personally, I think that
another showing of poor judgment.
Yeah, I think that these people have a track record, and I thought it was very interesting that that was the person that you chose to tell that to. Anyway, I'm not surprised that that's how things played out, and I didn't really feel bad either. One line that keeps coming up, Josh, is have the cake and eat it too, right? Like, everybody wants things to work out for them.
Oh, and this is a classic case. She wanted to be able to talk to other people, but still have that fallback there.
Yeah.
Have that safety net, and that doesn't work.
Yeah, there's definitely people on the beach that want to just kind of float around, and there's definitely people that want to just be kind of locked down in a relationship, and it kind of bites you in the ass when you don't commit to one or the other. So it is what it is. So
certainly a good way to get your feelings hurt, and I think Mari definitely had her feelings hurt this week.
Well, we'll see kind of how things work out, but the next love triangle that comes up that we get a brief view into that doesn't last very long even is the Marissa Connor Riley, right?
And at this point, like, let's be real, Connor is dead in the water.
Oh, absolutely. He doesn't necessarily know that at this moment, but I think everybody else in the free world does.
Yeah, he decides to come on out this morning full of confidence. He's wearing a
man romper.
I thought it was a romper, but it was just shorts and a shirt that were matching.
Oh, it wasn't?
Like, yeah.
It wasn't a romper?
No, I saw it closer up. It was just like shorts.
I thought they were sewn together, certainly. So,
maybe I just I saw the seams in there, and it actually is one piece, but
well,
I think it's a shorts. Shorts.
Obviously, I've got a soft spot in my heart for Connor, and I appreciate that he's at least willing to say, "Hey, I know you had a great date last night. Instead of waiting around to get a date card, why don't we go on a date tonight?" And that showed some initiative, and that he was interested in her still. I think that there was probably a better conversation that wasn't shown, but what I did see, I didn't really like out of Marissa, because she gave the "we'll see" response, you know, and that always kind of irritates me. It's like, if you're not into him anymore, just tell him. I mean,
it was pretty clear to, as you said, the rest of the free world that Marissa was no longer into Connor.
Well, yeah.
There's no reason to give him even a thread of hope here.
Yeah, I don't
let him know. Let him like talk to other people and go and try to figure something out.
Yeah, it's not like we want you to crush this boy's dream or anything, but we do want you to just say, hey, I am really kind of vibing with Riley right now and want to see where things go with him, and I just don't see our relationship progressing to the point where I'm even at with him at the moment. And to say that would have been fine. I think we got that out of, like, Jasenia and some other people even later, but overall, I just wanted, and I think that conversation was probably had because there didn't seem to be a lot of bad blood later on, honestly, between the three of them. You know, I think that there was probably something said that wasn't shown in my opinion, because otherwise it probably would have been messier.
Well, I mean, like, I don't think Connor's one to start conflict, and Riley really isn't either.
Yeah.
From what I've seen of him. So, I think it's kind of just like, yeah, we probably missed a little bit of something there, but these are some conflict-adverse people. They're not just gonna go starting shit for the sake of starting it.
Sure.
I think, like, you know, Connor's heard it from other people too at this point that she didn't say you're out 100%, but you can probably tell.
You can read between the lines. I mean,
yeah.
I think that, like, you can figure that out, but it's nice to have a little bit of closure and say, you know, just a definitive yes or no sometimes would be nice. So, but yeah, I think too, Josh, that when Tajwan told Connor that they slept in the boom boom room last night, that changed his perspective on the whole situation too. I think at that point he knew, okay, it's done. Time to move on.
Yeah, with her not telling him that too, it kind of just like closed things off. Yeah. It felt bad for Connor, but we all knew it was coming.
Well, that was kind of the start and the end of that love triangle. I don't think we really got too much more drama from that. So just watching things crash and burn here, just, you know, it's like the meme of the dog sitting in the room. This is fine, and everything's burning around him. So that is kind of another active theme of this episode.
I mean, this is just like that little strike of lightning off in the distance that you see the tree catch on fire from. There's much more immediate danger directly in front of your face.
Well, the next couple that gets shown is Natasha and Brendan, and it's Natasha, like, essentially, you know, not even that interesting of a conversation between her and Brendan initially until Lance Bass comes in, of course, and says, oh, you should kiss him. If you want to kiss him, then kiss him. And, you know, it's 2021. And I just kept thinking to myself, this relationship still has no chance. Natasha and Brendan are dead in the water. Nothing is going to come of this.
I was feeling the same way. I wrote down, Natasha, let him go, damn it.
I know.
Come on. If he doesn't seem into you, like, just, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many other people you could be talking to here.
Oh, yeah. It's like...
Yeah, he's pretty, but, like, come on.
Yeah. Natasha, you are fine, and you got a good personality. You seem fun and funny. You can leave Brendan behind if he's not that into you. I'm not going to say bad things about him, but he has been kind of sketch.
Yeah, my read on it is that I feel like this must be, like, a recurring issue for her, and she's, like, determined to get through on it. It's like, if I just, like, stick with them enough, they're eventually
even
gonna,
like me.
See the light and come to me. Yeah.
Well,
and you just, it's not gonna work that way.
Well, you know, and cue next scene of, hey, do you want a back massage? And then lays down on the daybed next to each other, and we get possibly the least sexy kiss that I've ever seen on television. Like, I'm like, it seemed in my head, I just was not impressed. It just seemed, well, she gave me a back massage, I may as well kiss her, I guess. I'm not really that committed to the idea, but I'm going to do it.
That's exactly how I felt.
Yeah.
I'm like, This took all of that back massage to get them there. Like, it wasn't like he was turning over as he's getting massaged and was like pulling her down on top of him more. Like,
No.
nope, okay. Well, massage is done. Cool. Thanks.
It was the least sexy back massage that has been shown on television, period. So, I was not impressed. And I know that Natasha was happy she got the kiss. You know, you see her talking about it and seems kind of enjoying the fact that their relationship seems to be progressing. But I think to the audience and to me, it just seemed like more red flags, you know. He may have just handed her a box of red flags and moved on.
Yeah, and when we get to our rankings here, not feeling great about it.
No, I ranked them higher than a few other people, but that's to be expected given the way the episode goes. But yeah, so the next couple that we get to, and we get a one-on-one date actually, is Joe and Serena. So they get to go on the fun evening date this time. I think it was evening, right? Yeah, because
I think so.
Yeah, the day date was the double date, and so the evening date was Joe and Serena. And
to go fight for love.
To fight for love. So we stick them in a wrestling ring. At one point, John Cena comes out and suplexes Joe. No, that doesn't happen. Yeah. So Joe and Serena sit down in a wrestling ring, and lo and behold, they start grilling each other almost immediately. I think, Serena starts grilling Joe first, is what we see. Whether that actually happens.
Get the background on everything that happened with Kendall, because that's just been this big looming thing all season.
Yeah.
Like, oh well, it didn't work out with Kendall. Well, why really?
Yeah.
So
let me set this up for you and the pod, and you say, I want to hear what your thoughts are on this whole situation. So Joe's response to why it didn't work out with Kendall was they dated for about a year and a half, 2 years. 2 years, I think they said. And he is from Chicago. His entire family and friends are there, and she's from California, where her entire family and friends are. And it just eventually came down to the fact that neither of them were willing to live or move to a different location long term. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
that was the gist.
Yeah. And he says, it's been a year since we've been together. I like her as a person. I don't really have anything bad to say about her, but I'm not in love with her anymore. And there's no romantic feelings. I don't know if he says that at that point or that comes up later, but it's interesting, right, Josh? What do you think of that breakup story?
I don't know. I almost feel like there'd have to be a little bit more resentment there to be like, you tell me you love me and all this, but you don't want to make this compromise for me.
Mm-hmm.
I guess kind of going both ways. Yeah, moving's hard, but they were together for a couple years too.
Yeah, two years I think they were together.
So after that long, if you're not willing to make some sort of move, I mean, yeah, I guess you break up, but I can't imagine being that in love with someone, and basically at this point both being who they are, probably being able to do what they do from anywhere in the country. Just go for it. You're gonna have the disposable income to go back and visit wherever you want.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much whenever you want. So
well, I thought it was strange. I feel like there has to be something else to it, first of all. I don't think the only reason they broke up was because of that, because who cares where you live, right? It's nice to be...
It's about who you're with more than where you are.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to be around your family and friends, and that would be ideal, but I think ultimately if you're in a relationship with somebody, that should probably matter more, where, being with them than being around your family and friends. They are your family.
And your family and friends are going to understand at that point too.
I would think so.
nobody should be holding it against you, unless there's just like these terrible flaws that you're overlooking in this partner.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's got to be something else to it than what is shown personally, but Serena.
I tend to agree with you there.
Yeah, and then Serena, moving on to her, she shares her story where she didn't really date a whole lot, and then she met what is now her ex and said, this is going to be the one person I am completely committed to, and eventually felt like she was doing 90% of the work, and it didn't work out, and hasn't really found her person since then. So, that was a very generic story, right? Like, didn't really go into details why it didn't work out.
Yeah, not too much there.
Yeah.
Which I feel like we get a lot of those on the show, where it's kind of just like, yeah, we had a really good thing going, but then something happened and we couldn't like be committed, and we're done.
Yeah, it didn't really give a whole lot of details, and that was kind of the extent of the conversations they had, and they seemed to be okay with what they heard. Like, they got the validation from each other that they wanted. And
yeah, so with it being fight night though,
yes,
especially as we were talking about her, I kept waiting for Kendall to just come out and like have to fight Serena.
Wouldn't that be something? They bring out each other's exes and they have to fight them in the ring. Yeah, so yeah, we get a very uninspired fight between Joe and Serena in the ring that involves them laying down and making out on the...
Yeah, just an excuse to start wrestling and making out.
Yeah. So, I think that I feel more confident in their relationship after seeing their date, personally. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, I was definitely feeling more confident about them, and I think my rating for them reflected that we'll get to later.
Yeah, so, and that's kind of the end of their date. They get back on the beach, and we yet again get another love triangle to explore on the beach. This time, it is the uninspired love triangle between Carl, Deandra, and Chasen. Because, you know, Chasen came in and stole his girl, and Carl doesn't want to have anything of it. And so Carl pulls Deandra to the side, and this is the same night as Chasen's double date with Deandra, and says, hey, I got this, and I want to give this to you. And he pulls out what I can only imagine is an early 2000s Pandora bracelet with charms and all included, and says, hey, I think you're the person that I want to give this to. And she's like, oh, that's so sweet, and yada yada. And Chasen tries to interrupt a few times, and Carl is like, I just need a couple minutes, man. A couple minutes. So who knows how long that actually was timing-wise. But it was interesting. And it only gets more interesting later when Chasen presents... I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Chasen ends up giving her this necklace. This big fake diamond necklace. It's got to be fake. It's sparkly. I think that even he says it's like, well, you got her a shitty bracelet. I'm going to give her a nice necklace and be the one-upper here. So I was very... Here, let's put it this way. Demi has a cutaway where she said, this poor woman is getting showered in this hideous jewelry. Please spare her. Because I was thinking the same thing. I thought Carl's bracelet is just not great, and this necklace is hideous. So can we please get rid of this? I don't know where this is coming from. So
yeah, like she had other gold jewelry on already too. When I asked the question that I kind of just thought of to myself, like, did they bring this jewelry with them from home to give to somebody, not knowing like
who that person would be?
Who's gonna be?
Yeah, I think so.
Did they go and find like the little like jeweler store in the resort and pick out a small select?
Carl said he brought that bracelet from Miami and got specific charms on it to represent. Yeah, he said I put a palm tree on it to represent where we met, and I put a heart on it to represent our connection, and blah blah blah. So he had already planned this out beforehand.
I feel like that's missing the point of the charm bracelet.
I think so too.
Because yeah, you're building that to give to anybody as opposed to being personal. Also, as you said, like early 2000s bracelet there.
I mean, you're essentially no better than the penguins that just try to bring the biggest rock to a mate and see if they'll make eggs with them,
yeah,
right? Like, that's about the level of what I'm seeing.
Situation felt.
Yeah.
Like, okay, at least maybe Carl's thing was, like, coming from a sincere, more genuine spot, even if it's a little weird.
I think that the fact that the jewelry exists, though.
Pardon me?
The fact that jewelry, I mean, you said it perfectly. It seems insincere to bring this, just with
yeah.
So,
like, Carl might have been well-intentioned, but still, like, this feels like on both sides you're buying a rose here, like the way it was playing out, and I was not a fan.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of the drama between Carl and Chasen, and we'll get to their fight a little bit later because that actually dips into the episode 2. But
there was another little thing that happened just before that too that I wanted to touch on that kind of separate. After Ivan and Jasenia had their talk, we get a cut of Noah and Ivan talking together, and I want to give a big shout out here to Noah, because even with like some of the issues I've had with him, he's been very supportive to both Ivan and Connor, possibly some of the other men here too, and I just like, he seems like he's at least a good friend to these guys. Like, it'd be very easy to just give like generic responses, not really take him in, but he's having actual conversations with them, so I like that, and I wanted to show my support to Noah over that.
Yeah, the Noah thing that happens later is just kind of weird to me too, but I don't really.
Weird,
it does get weird. I'm not entirely sure what to make of that whole conversation, but like I said, we won't touch on that just yet. But I see your point. I think Noah gives very thoughtful responses that are honest to Ivan. At least, we mentioned, he said, "Hey, where do you think Jasenia is going to be with Chris after this date?" And he said, "Well, I could really honestly see them getting along really well and working out. But part of that's because Jasenia is just such a nice and laid-back person." But, yeah, we'll see. So, but we touched on the Carl, Deandra, Chasen, which is a love triangle that I honestly never saw coming in a million years. But let's go to the 2 fights that kind of took the cake. I guess that's a pun,
very
but
but
let's just jump into the Demi Mari Kenny again, the end of it. So they're all sitting around a bonfire, and Demi brings out a cake and said, "Hey, Kenny, I heard your birthday happened during quarantine, so I brought everybody a cake. So here you go, everybody, eat this cake, and me and Kenny are going to go off, and we're going to celebrate his birthday." So there's a piñata. Denny and Kenny at this point are separate. There's a piñata full of condoms. Surprise, surprise. And they are talking, and that is just when just the shitstorm happens, right? So all that I can say, so Mari just said, "Hey, can I see the cake?" And I think we're all thinking at this point, not the cake, right? I just, like, I don't know how well they're
Riley
fed.
Was very hurt.
I get it. I was upset. That cake wasn't for you to destroy. Like,
everybody on the beach was excited about having a piece of cake here. Like,
I don't know how well they're fed on the show.
This drama.
I don't know how difficult it is for them to get food and everything. So
yeah.
I don't really know what the situation is like, if they can just order whatever they obviously have access to alcohol, but that's easy, right? But when it comes to actual food, I don't know, like, you very rarely see people actually eating on the show to begin with. I've seen it more in Paradise than I have on the regular series, but still, you don't really know what you're getting. So if somebody brought out a cake,
can pull some strings.
It was very upsetting.
Like, they are at a resort. Like, there's some options. I'm sure they can at least get the chef to whip something up.
Mari saw.
But I'm sure that's not a favor they ask for.
Oh no.
Specifically, like a cake all the time.
No, Mari saw blood in her eyes though.
Special.
Mari saw blood in her eyes. She took that cake and it went straight into the bonfire. No even second thoughts. So it was a tragedy, really, Josh.
Mm-hmm.
And it just gets worse because the Demi and Mari talk they have, because she interrupts him and says, "Hey, Demi, can I talk to you?" And they pull him aside, and Mari's upset. And honestly, based on the way that conversation went, I was more, not that I'm picking sides, because I don't think you really should, but I don't really think Demi did anything particularly wrong or said anything wrong, because she said, "Hey, you have a problem with me," other than kind of using the information that Mari immediately gave her to say, "Okay, well, I'm going to go steal your man." That's a little malicious, but it's not like, these are all adults. They can make their own decisions.
I'd say that's fair game enough.
Yeah.
In this setting.
But, you know, Mari and Demi just said, "Hey, you told him that you wanted to explore other options, and so he said, okay, well, I guess I can explore other options. And you're just upset that it's with me." And Demi said, "This conversation's going nowhere. Like, do you have anything to add?" And then just says, "Okay, well, then we're done."
Yeah, so, like, if you're just here to freak out, we don't need to continue this.
Yeah, I thought Demi handled the situation pretty well, given the fact that she got pulled to the side.
It was definitely a mature moment for her.
And, you know, the Kenny and Mari talk was just mind-boggling. When she pulls Kenny aside, I did not really know what to make of that, because when the, I think it was the moment when she goes, "There was a misunderstanding," and he goes, "Yeah, of course there was a misunderstanding," and she goes, do you mean to say that I misunderstood myself?" And he said, "Yeah, I guess." I don't really know.
That's what it kind of seems like.
I didn't really know what to make of that situation too, but that conversation also went nowhere and was just messy. It's just messy, messy, messy. Ugh.
Yeah, I think Mari was a bit unaware of her own, like, intentions and words, and, like, definitely unaware of her own immaturity in this whole thing too. I mean, she is just owning it like she is the most justified person in the world right now.
Yeah, I don't know, like, what she was. I just, you don't realize what you have until it's gone, I guess, you know? She said, "Hey, I'm interested in seeing where other dates may lead," and so Kenny said, "Well, if that's how you feel, I'm not happy about it, but I'm going to do the same." And as soon as that happened, she was upset. I think she likes him a lot still. So it's upsetting to her to see him with...
Yeah, she must.
Yeah.
And, I mean, well, so part of it is... I'm wondering, anyway, does she just want him now because she can't have him anymore? Or does she actually want him?
I hope not. I hope it was more of just, like, she's actually interested in him. I hope that it's not just jealousy.
I was never completely sold on them anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But then for her to proposition him basically to, like, be able to go and see other people and then immediately be against it.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, maybe it was the kick she needed to realize how much she cared, or maybe it's just like, well, you're not allowed to be with somebody else before me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm the one who's supposed to be with someone else.
Yeah, well, I think that was just a very poorly handled situation. So.
Ooh, definitely.
I think if Mari had told Kenny in that first conversation, "Hey, I just want to be with you and see where this goes," then this whole thing would have been avoided. But
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
wanted to go back and check our confidence intervals actually real quick for what we had
sure.
on.
Do you have them written down, or do you need me to get
I
to
do.
mine?
I still
All
have
right.
them written. Let's see. Kenny and Mari. We actually both rated them the same, though, when we gave our ratings.
At the roast ceremony, the last one that I can see, but my pages kind of get mixed up. I had a 6.5 out of 10, and you gave them a 4. But I think we did one after that too.
I wrote down 4 twice.
Okay.
It was at the roast ceremony. I think that's the only one we did. But I guess I just screwed up my writing.
That's okay.
So I was definitely a lot more off-put by them than you were.
Well, I think a 4 is probably more accurate at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right.
Let's get to the
I
last.
Just wanted to hop back.
Yeah, let's get to the last love triangle, or should I call it a love rectangle? Because we've got the classic showdown of Tammy, Thomas, and Aaron, and the fourth person I'm gonna say is you, Josh, because I'm sure you're just beyond yourself upset watching Tammy fall in love with 2 guys at the same time. So.
Well, I think you said something to this effect last time, maybe, or maybe we talked about it in person. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, if everything's just falling apart for Tammy on the show, that's just better for me.
Well,
go for it, Tammy.
I know you're not short by any means, Josh, but you're not 6'6", so you're gonna have difficulty competing with Thomas. So, yeah, it was kind of a mind fuck, if anything. So, we get Aaron talking about how he and Tammy are the strongest relationship on the beach, and I swear every time somebody says that, we just see their relationship crumble. So,
I'm just like, what the fuck are they smoking there to say that?
Oh yeah, I know.
Like, at least viewer-wise, we have not seen anything to that effect. To be like, oh yeah, Tammy-Aaron relationship, good shit. They're going the distance.
Well, we saw them talk later too, and it's like they went an entire day without talking to each other, essentially. Like, they hung out at breakfast, they said, and then they didn't talk until that evening when it was a problem. So, I mean, obviously it's not that strong of a relationship if you're just, like, going the entire day without even speaking a word to each other. So
when you're in such close proximity with basically nothing else to do.
You live in a villa. Literally, I can throw a rock and hit your bed, probably, from where I'm sleeping. So
this kind of spills over into the next episode for resolution, too.
Yeah.
But, basically we see, like, Thomas going and kind of, like, pulling Tammy along with him over to one of those day beds.
Yep.
And, it seems pretty flirty. They go right by Aaron.
Oh, yeah. Not, like, do not pass go, do not collect $200. That doesn't make sense. But you understand.
Like, oh, okay.
I'm beelining it to this daybed. Don't look over. That's Aaron, James, and Trey. So.
Yeah, and because it bothered me later how Thomas was like, oh, well, you know, she made out with me.
She kind of did.
I didn't.
Not that he wasn't a willing participant, but
she sure did. But also, like, it seemed like he was trying to defend himself, saying, "Oh yeah, there was no intent with anything. Like, I just brought her to go talk one-on-one in this daybed for, just to chat. Like, really, there was no intention there. Like, obviously, his intention the entire time was to go and steal Tammy away to get himself through to the next week.
Well, to be honest though, like he said, he's like, I don't really want to, like, Aaron's right over there. I don't really want to, like, make out with you in front of him. And something along those lines. And she said, no, that's ridiculous. We're doing this. And
I think that was the point where she just straddled him and made out with him.
She just straddled him and made out with him. I didn't like.
I was just like, damn, Tammy's got awful taste in men.
So there's a chance, Josh.
Maybe I'm still alive. Yeah.
There's a chance. So, yeah, so Tammy's making moves. She is literally just on top of Thomas, making out with him, while James, Aaron, and Trey watch from afar. Didn't like James's comment about her being a dog. Thought that was a little bit of a shitty thing to say. Like, and then I think Trey called her a human trash bag, which seems to be his, like, go-to response for everyone. I don't think he has, like, another, like, thing that he's capable of saying that is, like, I don't like somebody. It's just they're a human trash bag. Right? Like, that's it. That's all that we hear.
Yeah. Dumpster fire, kinda, I think is what he's getting at, but he's definitely a better choice of words than just calling her a dog.
Yeah, I didn't really like that.
Wasn't a huge fan of James before that.
No,
that didn't help.
He doesn't seem like I'm always gonna not like the guy that I think is just a giant follower of somebody that I also don't really care for. So Aaron is not like somebody that I love as a character on the show, and James just seems like his follower, almost like a minion, and so I like him even less because he has even less of like a. It just seems like he's not making up any of like whatever Aaron says. I'm gonna agree with.
Any independent thoughts.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's that he has not really come up with. I just. It's nice that he's a loyal friend, but I don't think is capable of forming an independent thought, like you said. So, and I like that less about a person than I do even, like, Aaron just having bad judgment. So, or, yeah, I mean, I don't really like Aaron, but...
Like, I think if I'm out at the beach with you or whatever, and then some guy you hate pulls your girl, and then they go and make out, like, right in our view, I'm not gonna sit there with you. I'm gonna be like, hey, let's walk over to a different place where we don't have to watch this. This is some bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just like, it was just a train wreck that he couldn't look away from, to be honest.
Maybe that was it.
Yeah.
And you know, like, I know they're a little more herded into a small area at this point. It being the lead into the ceremony.
Yeah, and these two Bachelor villains are in love now. That's all there is.
Why are you sitting there watching it? Oh yeah, the bonding over the villainy.
Yeah, whatever. I was kind of over it. I mean, it just is kind of it's messy again. Josh, before I get into the kind of the predictions for. Because the rose ceremony is obviously coming up, and that's the cut to the next episode. I'll give you the predictions that I made. But the last thing that we see, really, is a cut from Tajwan literally losing her mind, it seemed like. And she made a quote where she was like, it's Tajwan can't poop, Tajwan can't pee. What on earth is she talking about?
Yeah, I had the same thoughts. I'm like, what the fuck is going on with Tajwan? Because I think there was like another little bit with her earlier in the episode too, where it's kind of like, huh, that's weird. But it was just like, all right, that's just a funny thing that they chose to put in. This is like, holy shit, like something's happening.
I know. I was just very concerned. I didn't understand anything that was like. They pretty much just said, listen, Tajwan's having a moment, and we don't know why. At least we got no
sloppy edit on this one.
I think so too. We have no idea why she was in her head about all this stuff, and why she was concerned about people not thinking that she could poop or pee. But it was bizarre.
I don't think we saw any of her and Trey in this episode either.
No, none at all.
Like, they were never together. It was only like a few instances of them individually.
Well, so
which foreshadows
kind of what happens. Episode. Yeah. The one thing, and that was, I'm very curious to what happened with Tajwan, because like I said, I really kind of enjoy what she's given us to Bachelor in Paradise this season, but I just wanted to know what was going on, and I don't think we really got enough of a backstory to that. There were too many love triangles to explore.
Right.
So.
Well, and I know you suggested that you'd like to see her on The Bachelorette, and I've seen a lot of people that have agreed with you and want to see more Taj, and they're like, but
make Tajwan the Bachelorette.
Exit, I'm not really sure that like production is so intent on getting somebody in now.
No,
like,
I don't.
like her.
I
Where it's like,
disagree.
she might decide to flake because now that she's done this twice.
I think I no I don't think she. I would be supportive if for whatever reason. I don't think that they're ever gonna pick her. I'll say that. But if they did, I would be supportive of Tajwan as the Bachelorette. I think she's funny. She's entertaining. She's a hopeless romantic. She's a hopeless romantic. It seems like so. I think she fits a lot of. She checks once again. She checks a lot of the boxes of what we want to see in a Bachelorette. So hopefully we don't resent her if she only hits 7 of 8. But you know we do what we can. So yeah. So here are my predictions going into the rose ceremony that I gave Josh. I said Jaseni will give a rose to Chris, and you stop me if you disagree with any of these, or if it's different than what you.
Predictions, I was really just looking for who you're eliminating. Basically,
Oh,
I don't
sure, that's fine. We can do that. I said that James, Connor, Aaron, Ivan, and Carl were going home. Those 5 by the end of the episode.
Well, so there's 14 women and 10 men at this point.
Yeah,
so
but we know that
there should only be 4 eliminations.
Well, that was before Becca came in, because Becca comes in by the end of the episode.
Yeah. Well, you just listed 5 though.
There were only 10 women though, and I have 5 guys that are left over. Oh, I see what it was. I wrote down. I was very not certain who Mari would give her rose to, so then I wrote down Ivan. So I went with Carl, Aaron, Connor, and James going home.
Okay.
So
yeah, so like Aaron and Connor
not really
were the
right.
easy ones for me, and then kind of just filling in the rest. That's what I was trying to figure out, because you know, I couldn't see anything happening for Connor anymore. Aaron had been enough of a drama point outside of like the fact that he just got the tables turned on him. I didn't think anyone would take a chance on him. Ivan kind of got a little bit of an opportunity to like talk to some women, so I was thinking maybe he'd have a chance. James did get it from Demi last week. Obviously not going to happen anymore.
Obviously.
I was thinking that like Mari might just pull the flip and take James instead. So then it's like, okay, we see that Becca's coming in. Who's she gonna give a rose to? I don't know. So I was kind of split on all that. The cut really made it look like Carl, so I ended up, I think, leaning towards Ivan to be the one to get eliminated.
You really thought they were gonna keep Carl?
That cut looked so convincing.
Okay. So who did
I'm
you?
like, oh wow, Becca's really just choosing Carl based on first impression. All right.
No, that was never gonna happen. So
they got me. They got me good.
So you thought it was gonna be Ivan, Connor, Aaron, and who going home?
Well, just those 3, because with Becca coming in, that makes 11 women to 14 men.
Yep. So
you're really on top of the math here.
I'm doing great. I'm living my best life. So let's kind of move on to the next episode from there, and we get immediately back to Thomas, Aaron, Tammy drama, where they're fighting, they're arguing, and it is a very like, I don't know. Do you want to kind of give me your thoughts on the Thomas Aaron fight?
Thomas basically just saying, oh, well, I didn't do anything. She kissed me. Aaron's like, what are you talking about? You knew what was going to happen when you pulled her over.
You can't act like you weren't a willing participant either.
Yeah, that's... like, you're not innocent. Stop acting like you are. Get over yourself. Aaron going on about how Tammy was going to regret it. I couldn't tell if that was more directed at, like, not being with him or more towards
Thomas.
Being with Thomas.
100%.
A little bit of both. But, yeah, just like, I don't like the words there exactly, but, you know.
Thomas, so let me say this. Aaron hates Thomas infinitely more than he could ever like Tammy. So, and that's concerning.
Well, so I sent you that post I found
Oh,
on
of
Reddit.
of Aaron cropped onto Serena's face during Thomas
Yeah,
and
that
Serena's.
I thought was
Yeah,
hilarious.
that was
The two
good.
of them taking their beach pictures together.
Yeah, I think that Aaron hates Thomas more than he could ever like Tammy, which is
Apparently, they're even going and tagging each other and stuff on Instagram.
oh, like hateful stuff.
Uh, it's very like passive aggressive kind of stuff.
Oh my god.
Or like,
How old are
oh
they?
yeah, we have a bromance but hate each other, and yeah, it's bizarre.
Oh,
Maybe
see.
they just need to make out, get the stress out.
Aaron's like 26. How old's Thomas? I think he's older than that. I think he's like early 30s.
Yeah, I wanted to say he's like 32, 33.
3, yeah. Man.
Not 100% sure.
There is no amount of energy I'm investing into my Instagram to be passively aggressively posting about somebody else. Like, there is nothing you could get me riled up enough to be like, you know what? That seems like way too much. Like, I just don't like you, so I'm not gonna talk to you. That's about, like, like that's where it ends. That's where the buck ends, right? So to then go above and beyond and be like, you know what? I'm going to be tagging you on my social media and talking about what a shithead you are. That's too much energy, right? Like, you are investing yourself into the wrong market. That's all that I have to say about that. So
yeah, Tammy makes a comment and she goes and tries to talk to Aaron, saying that she didn't want to hurt him or didn't try to hurt him with this.
She didn't try very hard.
Maybe he didn't try to hurt him, but what'd you expect was gonna happen here? Like, it was so clear how this was gonna play out. In what world is he just gonna be cool with this and be like, oh well, yeah, you made out with my mortal enemy, but at least you're gonna give me the rose at the end of the night still.
Yeah.
So obviously Aaron's walking away from Tammy.
Yep. And that's kind of it with that. And the next thing that happened was kind of the Chase and Carl fight, but I don't really feel the need to readdress that. They just tried to shower her with jewelry like penguins do with rocks, and it was not. It was a very boring fight actually between Chasen and Carl. I thought, like, I was very unimpressed by that conversation.
So Carl and Deandra have a bit of a conversation where Deandra.
Oh yeah, that's true.
A bracelet and stuff, and I'm like, okay, Carl's actually showing some grace and maturity here, and then the snap of the finger, it's like, oh, never mind, he's going at it with Chasen, who's also a huge douche. I mean, in my mind, like, Carl is the better man coming out of the situation.
I don't know.
Not really saying a ton, but like, just not a fan of either of them.
I kind of got the impression that Carl's like, well, if this isn't going to work out for me, I'm going to make sure it doesn't work out for you either. Which I don't know that that's really the best mindset to go into with this argument. So I don't know. I mean, I'm obviously not a fan of Carl's.
We'll go down together, but also I didn't really see him doing anything to instigate that so much.
It's going to be a fun plane ride home when he's sitting next to you. Like, did you think about that? No? Alright. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, and that was kind of it between Carl and Chase, and oh, you're a one-upper, yada, yada, yada. Not very interesting fight. But I did get the impression that Carl was kind of in the boat of, well, if I'm going to go down, you're going to come down with me. So, I don't know. Trey and Tajwan are next, and they have a...
Before that, we get a little glimpse of, like, the guys who are still up in the air, shooting their shot with the available women. Like, we see Ivan talking to Deandra and Mari, and then Mari and James are also talking too. So, like, trying to put those last few pieces together since we have most of the board together at this point.
Yep. we may as well try for it, because there are some people that are available that are in interesting positions. So Trey and Tajwan have a conversation, though, and it seemed pretty mature. It was just, I came to realize that Tajwan was not my person, even though we have a lot of fun and we get along a lot, but she's just not who I'm meant for, and I don't really see anybody else on this beach that is meant for me, so I think I'm going to go home. That was Trey's response to the whole situation. And he tells Tajwan such, and she seems to understand it, and that doesn't last too long, because Tajwan pretty much just goes and packs her bags and leaves too, because she says, hey, I agree, there's nobody left on this beach that I'm really interested in pursuing, so I'm just gonna go home.
She melts down and leaves without even saying goodbye to everybody.
I know.
Trey at least comes back and gives hugs before he takes off.
Yeah, I think she was obviously kind of in her feels about something the entire week of these episodes that we really didn't get to explore a whole lot, and so she just said, okay, I need to be done. So, and she walks away. I mean, I don't really blame her, though. I know that you said that you find that kind of strike against her for becoming the Bachelorette, but the context that we were giving was that she was leaving because she didn't see a potential relationship with anybody left on the beach. And I don't think that she's so much of I don't think that if she was the Bachelorette that something like this would necessarily happen, because she's investing in people that she could.
It's definitely still very different circumstances, but it's the fact that she's left twice now.
So, when was the other time? She didn't leave the first time, I don't think.
I thought she left because she got too hot. That was my impression under the recap that they gave.
From what I remember, she tried to date John Paul Jones, and he was actually involved with Tayshia at the moment, and ended up sticking with her. So,
okay. Yeah,
that was an interesting relationship in Bachelor history. Was John Paul Jones and Tayshia were together for some time. So
that's funny because of the triangle with Claire too. But
why with Claire?
Because Claire and Tayshia were on the same season.
Yeah, but John Paul Jones was on Hannah Brown's season.
Oh,
I don't know if you know who he is.
Of Juan Pablo.
No.
I want another JP.
Yep. Yeah, John Paul Jones is the blonde guy, has hair about my length, and was kind of the ultimate bro, So, but Taj calls it quits, gets in the SUV and drives away too, and we get Becca.
It seemed like he had a bit of a meltdown, and no matter what this show is, it's going to be stressful.
Yeah.
They didn't, as I said earlier, they didn't really show much of anything with the cut they put out, so I wonder if something happened that they didn't feel comfortable airing.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
Like this, but it was really bizarre that what seemed like a fairly solid couple, after the fact that Tajwan was no longer an option for Riley. It felt weird that they didn't get any time and then just were all of a sudden splitting.
Yep. So. Well, we'll see. Anyway, so Tajwan calls it quits, walks away, yada, yada, yada. Becca Kerfin comes in, and they give her a rose and say, this is the first time that a previous Bachelorette, is on the beach, and at least to compete. And we get to see whether she can find love. And there are a couple of available guys that are all pursuing her. So
introducing Becca was Lance Bass's last moment.
Yep.
And I felt so ripped off because he was barely in the last couple of episodes.
Yeah.
I enjoyed him so much hosting Riley and Marissa's date, and then they just put none of him in here either.
Yep.
What are you doing, producers?
He showed up to talk to Natasha and then say that Becca was coming down the stairs and that he wishes them all love because that's where he met his husband, was on those beaches. So, but
yeah, I'm pretty upset. I wanted more Lance Bass.
Yeah,
he had a good personality.
I don't know who we're getting next, but I obviously love David Spade, and I thought Lance Bass did really great with that date that he hosted for Marissa and Riley, but we'll see who we get next. You know, these are tough acts to follow.
They are, because I forgot to mention, but when Chasen and Chris were introduced, they just had them run into each other. Lance Bass wasn't there to like send them out and like give them the pre-beach interviews. It's just straight on. Like, come on, guys. I don't know. Maybe Lance was there with his husband and was kind of just doing this like for a few hours when he took some time off of his vacation. But like
he was actually just on vacation.
I'm very upset about that. I'm sorry.
We found 4 celebrities that just so happened to be vacationing in the same place and asked them to hang out with us for a couple days and that we'd pay them. So they said, hell yeah, free vacation, let's do it. So, yeah, but, you know, we see Becca talking to James, Aaron, Ivan. The longest conversation they kind of air is between Aaron and Becca. It was more or less like, oh, I must be a cougar if I'm interested in you. Ha ha. And Aaron says that he's had a crush on her for a while, I guess since he was 16 watching her Bachelorette season. They're not that age difference, but you get my point. So yeah. What are your thoughts?
As I said, I was very baited by the reviews. So I thought, okay, well, shoot,
she's gonna like Carl the most.
Where Carl was reading palms.
That was
like maybe like she's into like palm reading, astrology, stuff like that. Just like, okay, this is really cute and quirky. I'm gonna buy it, take a shot, see what happens.
I think that would work. I think that's something that we should learn how to do. Is we should learn how to read palms.
Like that's a good flirting thing. Like,
yeah,
you know, you get to actually hold somebody's hand and stuff. So, like, yeah, let's go for those moves.
Josh, try not to get
online classes together.
Just try not to get too excited about the prospects of holding somebody's hand.
Oh, well, that's where I'm at right now.
Well, it's something. Yeah, I thought it was actually a clever moment from him. I thought that was like a very good icebreaker to do with somebody. Whether you're even bullshitting or not, I think it would be fun. So
yeah, that was part of it too. I'm like, okay, is this something that Carl's actually into, or is he just like making all this up at the moment?
He's a motivational speaker, whatever the hell that means. So I don't know if he does this with people. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's like a hypnotist. You know, like if it's just something
That's
weird.
That's a little weird.
It is weird, but I think it's possible. So anyway, everyone out here trying to get Becca's rose, and we go to the rose ceremony. Josh, are you ready?
Oh yeah,
I'm ready. Do you have your ratings of your couple confidence?
I do. I made sure that I wrote them down this week since I knew you wanted to do that.
Let me get my pen out. All right, so that I can write down your score. So first rose is given to Natasha to give out, and she gives it to, no surprise, Brendan. And after everything that we saw with Natasha and Brendan this week, I gave them a very respectable score, a 3 out of 10.
Oof. You're blowing me out of the water.
They don't get much better than
2.
Okay, a 2 out of 10. Yep. So that gives them an average of a 2.5. I don't have a whole lot of faith in this relationship. You even have less. I think this is crumbling. It's much worse than even it was before. So
yeah, and compared to last week, too.
Oh, I didn't give a lot of high scores this week. This week is a lot of low ones.
I gave them a 1.5 last week. So maybe I should have referenced that because my score somehow went up.
Yeah, you probably should have thought of that a little bit.
5, so it definitely dropped.
Oh yeah.
But I guess technically they're still together. So maybe a little bit more than where I was, but yeah.
I don't think there's a lot of statistical difference between a 1.5 and a 2, Josh. So I think you're probably good. Marissa's up next, and no surprise, in a love triangle, didn't last very long. She ends up picking Riley over Connor, and like we said, it was to be expected, and Connor was kind of dead in the water for a while now. I gave them a 7 out of 10.
Wow. Okay. You're going to be shocked with my response, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What are you going to give them?
I gave them a 9.5.
Oh.
I feel very good about Marissa and Riley.
I was so jaded by the entire drama that I think I lowballed everybody.
I get it, but some of the dating, I guess, is worn away because I am a fan of Riley.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so sure how I feel about Marissa entirely, but definitely, at least, I like Riley. I feel like they do have chemistry, even though it is early. I admit that, but I feel good about them, and that's the best score that I gave any couple at this point.
So that puts them at an average of 8.25. So they are currently in the lead. Next up was Serena, and she gives her rose to No Surprise Joe. Not a whole lot of competition out there. Serena seems pretty committed to Joe, and vice versa, at least for the time being. And I gave them my best score of the night, which was a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay. Wow. Okay. I guess I'm being a lot more volatile than you.
Mm-hmm.
I gave them a 9.
Ooh.
I'm also feeling very good about them. Still want to see a little bit more, but with what we got to see this week, that one-on-one date they got, I'm feeling really good.
So that also puts them at an average of 8.25. Abigail and Noah going into the rose ceremony. Once again, not a surprise. Abigail only has eyes for Noah and vice versa on the beach at the moment, and she gives him her rose. I gave them a 5 out of 10. I think they're a very middle-of-the-road couple and have kind of since the beginning.
Yeah, I kind of waffled a bit here. I started out at a 6.5, scribbled that out, put down 7, and then scribbled that out and put down 6.5 again.
Okay. So that should give us a total of, what is that, 5.75?
5.75.
Yeah. Man, you're really testing me here with this math. Jasenia is up next. Another love triangle that has resolved itself by the time we get to the rose ceremony, because she pretty much tells Ivan that it's over between them, at least romantically. Jasenia gives her rose to Chris, and I also gave them very middle-of-the-road couple, in my opinion, a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I agree with you in the sense of them being middle of the road, but it definitely seems like they're very into each other, so I gave a 6.
A 6, okay. 6 out of 10 for them. And that gives them a 5.5. Tammy's up next, and once again, a love triangle that has resolved by the time we get to the rose ceremony. The two villains have found love. Tammy gives her rose to Thomas. I gave them less. I think they're below average for couples here. I gave them a 4 out of 10. Well, actually, they may end up being average based off how lowball I gave everybody else here coming up, but 4 out of 10 is not a good score. I have not a whole lot of confidence in this relationship.
Yeah, 4 out of 10 is about as high as any of the ones I have upcoming.
Yep, me too.
Tammy and Thomas, I gave them a 2, tied with Natasha and Brendan as the worst couples on the beach at the moment.
Really, the worst? Oh my gosh. Okay, well, here we go. Up next is Demi.
Did you get the average on that one?
That's a 3. Yep, I got. Okay. When they're whole numbers, I can figure it out. Yes, so average is 3 out of 10. So for for Tammy and Tommy. I hate that couple name. We need to not do. I'm not gonna do that again. So I apologize to anybody that had to hear that. Next, though, is Demi, and Demi, no surprise, gives her rose to Kenny, another couple that's names happen to rhyme, which is just kind of gross, really. I gave them, even less than Tammy and Thomas, I gave them a 3 out of 10.
Okay. I started at a 3 and then cut it down to 2.5.
Yep. So that gives us an average of 2.75 out of 10 for...
So for the next couple, Mari and James,
yes.
I actually also started at a 3 and then cut it down to 2.5 again.
Oh, really? So
yeah.
I gave Mari and James a 1 out of 10. I don't think that has any chance whatsoever of going anywhere. So less than anything else here. So that puts us at a 1.75.
So that was kind of like the surprise that we weren't fully sure of. We knew Mari had the rose, but which direction she is going with it was still to be seen at that point.
I was not sure where Mari was going to go. I had a pretty good grasp, I thought, on everybody else, but I was surprised, as you can tell. But I don't think I should have been surprised, because next up to give out their roses, Deandra, in a love triangle between Chasen and Carl. But I don't know if you noticed this, Josh, but she's not wearing any of the hideous jewelry she's been showered with this episode. Not wearing that giant tacky necklace, so I should have thought at that point, hey, Chasen might be in some trouble here, but didn't really make the connection because I was like, well, she's not giving it to Carl, so who else is she going to give it to? Out of left field, gives her rose to your boy, Ivan.
Hey, back for another week.
Back for another week with more chances at love. We've got Ivan. I gave Deandra and Ivan the same score as Mari and James. I gave them a 1 out of 10.
Really? Okay,
yep.
I'm going to differ from you quite a bit on this one then.
You think this has a chance?
I gave them a 4.5. I think, actually, Deandra will be like, okay, I just talked to these two guys. They ended up being such complete douches. Ivan's actually a genuine person. We've gotten the chance to talk a little bit here. I mean, who knows what happens with new people coming on the beach? That's always the wild card. But, like, I think if they actually spent some time talking, they could get along.
So I think that puts us at an average of 2.75 with that one. Is that right? 4.5 and 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's great. A 2.75. We'll see. I don't think that's going to work out still, but we will see. And last but not least, we have the Bachelorette herself, Becca, giving out her rose, determining who will be going home tonight. And she, once again, not really surprising here, gives her rose to Aaron, of all people. And I gave Becca and Aaron a confidence interval of 3 out of 10.
Oh, man, we finally sync up for our last
did you say
one.
3?
I also gave them a 3.
There you go, buddy. So I think
on the same page.
I think I can figure out that average. I think that average is the 3. So, just in recap of that, that means that our strongest couple together was a tie with Marissa and Riley and Serena and Joe. So we collectively have the most confidence in those two couples going the distance at the moment. And Josh and I together have the overall least confidence in Mari and James with an average of 1.75 out of 10. So closely trailed by literally a lot of other people. Really, it's Chris and Jasenia are out of that kind of danger zone, and Abigail and Noah were kind of out of that danger zone, and then everybody else is really close to them as far as having no confidence in their relationships. So,
and to recap, we say our goodbyes to Chasen, Connor, and Carl.
And Trey and Tajwan. Yep. So, I think Chasen was probably surprised that he didn't get the rose, but I think he should have probably, if anybody, taken the hint that if she's not wearing your necklace anymore, she's probably not that interested.
Yeah,
so,
at that point. And I think, sitting there acting like a tool in front of everybody else, too. Like, butting heads with Carl at that point. You're not helping your chances there. I don't think she's really into the machismo going on. So.
Well, I mean, Carl kind of instigated it, I felt like, but yep.
I mean, Carl definitely started it, but Chasen could have taken a better approach if he wanted to look good. I think he felt like he could just bully his way out of it, like be machismo and
I think that
be the big man.
Ideally, that if I were in Chasen's position and Chasen's already won, right? Like, she already ended things with Carl. I'm her only romantic relationship.
Mm-hmm.
If Carl wants to talk to me and be like, Carl, that's great. I'm not really interested in having this conversation. Goodbye. Like, I don't really care at this point. You're not, you're not in the picture anymore, and I don't owe you anything. So I'm sorry.
He had
I'm sorry you feel. Yeah, I'm sorry you feel like I one upped you, but he, like you said, he has nothing to gain from getting in a fight with Carl. You just move on. It's like, okay, this guy's not gonna like me. I'm dating the girl that he was interested in. That's fine. Move on with your life. But
so with predictions for who would leave, I ended up only getting 1 out of the 3.
How was I? I don't think I was that good.
I think you got 2, which was better than me at least.
Connor and Carl. Yep, so I got 2. So you can't really predict that Trey would leave because we weren't expecting them to break up and then just leave the beach. But it is what it is. So we get a little bit more of this episode to kind of close things out. We get another new arrival on the beach. Somebody that I don't really know anything about other than that she apparently has dated Colton in the past. Tia. First of all, Tia hits the beach. She's got a great accent. It's amazing. So.
Oh, I knew you'd be a sucker for it.
Oh, absolutely. She has a great accent. However, she's from Arkansas, which is not the best place in the world. So, Wiener, Arkansas, she said.
Yeah. Like a wiener.
when she tried to explain it, it was very funny. It's like, I think he gets it, but whatever. So, and of course, Tia hits the beach. Demi's being kind of hateful, I thought. I look good. She looks like trash. I put a lot of effort into this. She put on a tank top and jean shorts. I was like, what's wrong with the way she looks? Right? You're on a beach. She's just trying to be comfortable. So, I don't know.
She rocked those cutoff shorts, too.
I thought it was fine. I don't know what the big deal was. But Tia, she pulls Kenny and talks to him for a while and eventually decides to go on a date with him. And once again, we have women on the beach dating a guy that could possibly be their father, pretty easily, actually. And I am very surprised he's the hot commodity. I think we talked about this earlier, but these are now still, I would say, 3 women competing for his attention now with Tia, Mari, and Demi, because Mari does not seem over it. Mari seems like she's very much still interested in pursuing him.
Right.
If the opportunity presents itself, of course. So, but anyway, Kenny agrees to Demi's, dissatisfaction to go on a date with Tia, and they go on a volleyball date, and the weirdest volleyball date in the world. They have 3 people approach them, and they're like, yeah, we're getting naked. So, be ready. And we get a quote from Tia at some point where she says she's not showing her, quote-unquote, China pot. I had never heard that before. Have you heard that before?
Oh, no, it's a new one.
I was like, man, this is... I hope I don't get, taken off the air for this, but it always kind of irks me when it's like, call it a penis and a vagina, right? I
mean, she has no problem calling out the labia she sees.
Yeah. But it's like, you don't need to, don't confuse people about their bodies. It's not a big deal. Go
vajingos.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a little bit... I think I'm just uncomfortable with the vernacular that she used. I don't know what that, I don't know what that is supposed to mean. So, I was able to put 2 and 2 together after a while, but I'm like, man, that's a weird one. They eventually come to a Rochambeau agreement where Kenny's going to get completely naked and Tia's going to play topless. And if that's not a first date, I don't know what is, right? Nothing says romance is in the air than some random stranger with a weird tree tattoo above his crotch, completely naked, playing volleyball against us. And more importantly,
it definitely breaks the ice.
More importantly, I don't think Kenny or Tia have ever played volleyball in their entire life watching this date. So I would not describe anything that I saw as particularly athletic either, but yeah, it breaks the ice. It's not the ice that I would want broken, but that was strange. There's been a lot of dates this season already, Josh, where it's been weird. Like, why?
Yeah, is that not the use?
They chose chaos. That's what they did. So, the actual date itself, I think, was weird. Do you have any lasting opinions on the volleyball portion of the date?
No, just sure would be interesting for that to happen in real life.
Who's like, you know what? I think it's a great idea. This is our first date. Let's go to a topless beach and play volleyball with strangers that are going to be butt-ass naked. I don't...
Well, I guess they knew Kenny was down, so they're like, we'll roll with this and see what happens.
I guess. It's just so strange. But anyway, so after they get done hanging out with the strangers on the beach, they put their clothes back on and have a nice picnic and a conversation. And I think that Kenny starts it off with the best line that I think I've ever heard, where he says, "Cheers to seeing your tits." And like, I think that is possibly the best thing you could say to make this incredibly awkward situation a little less awkward. So it wasn't like, if it wasn't weird enough to begin with, right? Like,
yeah, might as well own it. Try to ease some of the tension there.
I think that go ahead.
Apparently, Kenny's got nothing to hide
Mm-hmm.
from the descriptions we've heard through both Demi and Tia at this point.
I mean, I get that, but I also understand that it's like, he doesn't need to air out all of the laundry he has with Demi either, out of respect to her. Maybe he doesn't have to hide that, but he doesn't necessarily need to be like, oh, yeah, here are all the intimate details about her.
Oh, I was just talking about his dick.
Oh, sure. Apparently he's got a big dick, but good for him. But good for Kenny. He's doing his best. Maybe that's why he's the hot commodity out there. So, but, yeah, I think that they do the cardinal sin on their actual date, though, Josh, because I feel like they spend more time talking about Demi than they do each other.
Maybe I didn't catch it as much.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really notice it. I guess overall, on my opinions of them, I guess I decided I'm not sure if I like them as a couple or if I just like Tia.
I thought Tia was fun, and I
feel like maybe Kenny was a little more interchangeable. Like, you could have put any guy in there and it would have been a good date. But, he did have a couple moments, like, being like, yeah, cheers to seeing your tits, and,
yeah,
like, helping ease her into it a little bit. Like, I feel like he played that well. I can't remember who on the beach was talking about it specifically, but they're saying, yeah, actually, Tia kind of is the girl that Kenny would be interested in, more so than
I didn't
some
really
of these other
see it.
wild girls. So
I think that
someone who's cool but a little more like laid back, a little less intensity.
Yeah, so here's kind of my hot take on it, is that I don't see Tia and Kenny working out, period. I like Tia. She seems fun. She seems like she's got a good personality, but there's things about her that I didn't really love either. That in the very short clip that we got, maybe just kind of the way that she like worded some things, but I will say that there doesn't. Here's my hot take: is that when somebody talks about like southern cities and everything, and their first thought is like, Nashville's great and a lot of fun. I immediately am just like, oh no. So, but the, but yeah, I don't see them working out as a couple. I think Kenny still has a shot of getting back together with Mari, and I think that he is still probably relatively committed to Demi at the moment. Do you or do you not?
Oh, maybe it's my own personal opinions, but I like my own personal feelings, but I think that Tia's a better option. Maybe just for me, but for Kenny too, over the two other women at this point. Like, he knows that he's playing with fire. Tia mentions it a few times, and I think Kenny says it too, that they're kind of afraid of Demi. So it's like, yeah, the hot's fun for a little while, but you're gonna get burned.
Yeah.
So
Tia's the type of girl that I would definitely be interested in dating myself, but I don't think that we would work out. So, like, and I think a lot of that's just her immediate personality that she gives off. I like her, but I think that we probably have different.
About reading her Bible in the morning.
Yeah,
probably not good with your anime sins.
We have different core values. Let's put it that way. Oh God. Well, anyway, I don't really have much else to add about their date. Can we talk about?
So.
Okay, go ahead.
I wanted to ask you something kind of still related
to
the Demi situation. Is prior to all this with Tia, like, trying to talk to Kenny, Demi is like, oh yeah, Kenny and I are really horny together, so that really, like, we match really well together. Like, yeah, that kind of sums up their relationship. I think that's probably about it.
It's eventually got to go deeper than that. No pun intended, but it
right.
Like, you can like having sex with somebody all you want, but if there's no substance to the relationship beyond that, that's going to be problematic.
Right. And so Demi doesn't go, like, full freak out on the fact that they go on this date.
Mm-hmm.
But she's clearly, like, upset that Kenny, like, fielded the offer at all.
Her ego's bruised. She says it herself.
Yeah. So I'm like, let's be real, though. If some other hot guy walked out onto the beach and offered Demi a date,
she would have taken it.
She's going on that, right?
Yeah. I think so.
Not thinking twice.
I think she's full of shit when she's saying what. I don't think she's intentionally full of shit, but when she's like, oh, I thought we were getting married and named our first child already. I think that's bogus. So, but.
Oh, and yeah, I don't think she is even fooling herself there. I think that was like exaggeration, but I
for the joke.
Yeah. Maybe they were having like some serious conversations now, but I don't think they're doing all that much talking. No,
I don't think so either. I'm surprised that they let me say this. I completely agree with you that if Demi got offered a date from somebody else, that she would take it, no questions asked. I don't think she's in that committed relationship with Kenny at the moment, and would not be surprised if. Well, she doesn't seem like that hot of a commodity on the beach, though, either, honestly. Like, she tried with Brendan, and he's not feeling it, and I don't think anybody has Demi in the back of their mind as somebody that they would pursue.
I think everybody's aware of the, like, bag of worms you're getting into if you go with Demi.
Yeah, I think that's probably true, but...
Like, it's dangerous.
Yep. Shall we talk about... Go ahead. I want to hear what... Yeah, go for it.
Touch on before we hit this last thing. I think you want to go.
Yeah, there's two very short things to talk about, I think.
Okay. So, as Tia was scouting her men, she talked to Thomas.
Uh-huh.
And
boy, she's got some bad taste in men.
Yes. Tammy gave her insights on, like, what she thought of Tia going and talking to him. And she's like, oh, well, I'm feeling very confident in my connection with Thomas at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, what in the world are you talking about? Because you've literally been together for like 24 hours
mm-hmm.
as a couple. What confidence can you have in your connection right now to be like, oh yes, he's not gonna go off on a date with somebody else. He's very interested in me. Like, he just stole you away from somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say he's not just gonna drop you to go steal somebody else away? Like, oh my goodness, Tammy, honey, you're a mess.
Well, Tia said she's into everything that every woman from Arkansas has ever been into, and tall, dark, and handsome with tattoos. So, the surprise that she ended up picking Tammy and wanted to, Kenny, and
that would be a big
that'd be
surprise.
swerve, right? That she ended up picking Kenny and was interested in talking to Thomas too. But I mean, I I think that given the options, I think Kenny's better than Thomas. But you also have to deal with the Demi fallout and possibly the Mari fallout too. But we'll see what happens, you know?
Yeah, so, there's definitely going to be a chain reaction that comes
from
all this, one way or the other.
Yep. I don't know who I would see Tia with, either.
Honestly, I would have liked to have seen Tia
with
have
Connor?
A shot with Connor.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought you'd say.
Just poor timing.
Mm-hmm.
So, feels kind of bad. We'll see what happens.
I wondered that too. It's like, how many of these contestants that have already gone home would have otherwise had like a shot with somebody that knew that came on the beach, right? But you never know. But anyway, let's talk about Abigail and Noah and what may or may not have been a breakup. I don't really know. Do you know? Let me ask you that. Are Abigail and Noah done?
Let's ask the chat, because, you know, I'm not sure. I really know either.
Leave a comment. Leave a comment below in the video if you think that Noah and Abigail are done, because I'm very confused by that entire conversation, right? I watched it and I just kept thinking to myself, I was like, did they break up, or are they like working things out, or what is going on here?
The weird part that hit me initially was just that it never felt like Noah was very interested in this conversation.
No, he didn't at all.
Posture and face never really changed.
He looks at her once.
It was from how he was hanging out before Abigail even showed up.
He like looks over at her one time that I recall. Otherwise, he's just kind of staring off and saying things, and not really saying anything that I like actually thought had. I don't know. I'm very confused by the conversation. That's just what it comes down to. Is that I watched that and I don't know if they broke up, one, and I don't know if that was like, hey, we're working on building our relationship stronger, two, or really where they stand. I left that conversation with more questions than I had answers.
Yeah. So, like, I've never felt over the moon about this couple.
No, obviously not, based off our ratings.
Went here, it's very bizarre. And in the prelude to their conversation, Abigail is talking about how she's talking with the other women, saying, like, you know, she feels good about some parts, and it's an easy relationship that has her concern. And she made a comment where I thought she was saying that, like, there wasn't enough going on physically, too, which I thought was kind of odd, because
she was the one that said that she'd like to take things physically slow, I thought.
Yeah. So how much of that is like a degree of miscommunication there, where maybe Noah's playing things slower, trying to let her lead the way to not like overstep on any boundaries here.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, I was kind of confused with all that. She also had the comment before about putting people into
friend zone,
putting these other guys that she's dated into a friend zone.
I think that's such a stupid thing to say, but whatever.
And that kind of seems like that's what's happening with her, that she's like making it happen now, where she's like, oh, we just get along too well and we're not doing anything, so I guess we're just friends, right?
I mean, relationships are, I wouldn't say that they're supposed to be easy, but they're also not supposed to be like you're fighting all the time either. So is there such thing as it's too easy? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, these are questions that I have.
Just
I
sitting
didn't get
there
it at
telling
all.
myself. Yeah, the whole time I was just like, I don't understand this. What do you mean? Like, okay, yes, if you have an issue with him not like sharing that physical connection with you in public, like everybody else is, how they're like sitting on top of each other and kissing and whatnot around everybody else, express that. But with the way she went about it, it was just very weird.
Well, to be fair, it's not like Noah really gives her a whole lot back, like you said either. He seems very, like, physically, body language wise, uninvested in the conversation. Even though he does say things that do have some substance to them, it overall just, I feel like he is just like, whatever. And then he said,
his words and his body language didn't match up at all.
Agree with that.
He was trying to say something more serious.
Well, and then he said, well, if I didn't care, I would just like dismiss this conversation and go get a mimosa. I'm like, well,
that's kind of what you're doing mentally.
I mean, you just haven't left to get a mimosa. I think you have one in your hand right now. Okay, yeah. So, I thought the conversation was very strange, and I don't know where they stand now. I think we have to see the next couple episodes to kind of figure out whether that was actually a breakup topic or what. So
I feel like it's going to be interpreted as a breakup.
That's what everybody else seemed.
One, if not both sides, and then there's going to be hurt
more
feelings,
more miscommunication and hurt feelings.
Acted upon in that way. Yeah.
I don't know.
Big surprise, communication.
I wouldn't be surprised if Abigail just up and left early too, because she said too, it's like if it's not Noah, it's nobody. So I can't imagine she's gonna sit around. No guys are probably coming down the stairs this week because they just added a bunch of men back. So I would expect most of the women to come down the stairs on the next episode or two, but we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just bizarre. Again, I think Abigail would probably have a good relationship with Connor, but didn't seem like
it didn't seem like they hit it off really. So
yeah. So other than that, yeah, with Who's on the Beach, I'm not sure that there's anybody else that I like her with.
We will, we will see, I guess.
She was interested in Brendan at first, but I don't think that'd actually be going any better for her than it is for Natasha.
Absolutely not. I think they should give up on Brendan. I think we saw in the previews possibly Piper being on the show, and I think it's going to be game over for everybody else. I think we'll see a different Brendan on the beach when she shows up. So we'll see if whether it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy or what. Like, it's kind of like, well, everybody thinks that we should be together, so why don't we? Or whether he truly was just waiting for her. I guess that's to be decided, but we haven't seen anything yet. Or even if they work out, right? Like, maybe Piper gets there and asks somebody else on a date. So
right.
I guess we'll see. So last part of the episode, moving into that, we get Joe and Serena talking, and they are vibing together as always. And Joe says the best cutaway statement you could make, where he says, "Nothing could get in our way." And you just hear the producers on a megaphone in the background say, "Cue Kendall, cue Kendall, bring her out." So,
I was thinking of them more like pulling out the Kendall marionette, walking her down the steps onto the beach.
Yeah.
Because the producers have just been pulling string after string after string.
So
all season.
Kendall looks super hot, first of all, and so
I don't disagree.
Yeah. So Kendall comes out, and her monologue before she hits the beach is kind of all about Joe. She said, "I still am in love with him." Well, I don't know that she said that, or I'm paraphrasing, but more or less the conversation she gave us was that she's interested in trying to repair her relationship with Joe. We met in paradise. Maybe we can rebuild things in paradise and see where things go. Is that kind of your impression?
That's the same message I got. Yeah.
Okay.
Kendall, yeah, if she didn't actually say it, she definitely gave off the impression that she is in love with Joe. she doesn't think that there were any hard feelings, which is basically what Joe had said before. So
yeah,
she's now maybe willing to work things out in a way she wasn't before.
yep.
So she doesn't see any reason why they wouldn't be getting back together.
She wants Joe back, come hell or high water. So she hits the beach, and people try to introduce themselves to her, and she says, "Where's Joe? I don't give a shit about who you people
Doesn't
are."
want any of it.
Yep. She goes, "I do not care. We will get to that later. Point me to Joe." And they're like, "Oh, he's over on the daybed." And I want you to paint this scene in your head, Josh, because nobody seemed to see her coming. So you're Joe. You're laying on the daybed talking to a girl that you're currently dating, and all of a sudden you look above you, and there's like a shadow cast. Like there's a shade, and you open your eyes, and your ex-girlfriend of 2 years is standing above you, asking to talk on a beach in Mexico. Butthead. "Hey, butthead, do you want to go talk?" Yeah, no time to process, has no idea she's on the beach, just literally opens his eyes, and she's like above him. Because I don't think anybody even said, oh, by the way, hey, here comes your ex-girlfriend.
Hey, yeah, here comes Kendall.
Nobody gave him a heads up. They just said, oh, she's here. So, yeah. Would that not be weird?
Yeah, that's a situation that I would 100% be uncomfortable with.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, hi, I guess.
Mm.
And I mean, yeah, I guess we need to go talk.
Oh, yeah. How do you say no?
Obviously,
I want to see somebody say no one of these times.
As I said, there's no ill will, so it's just like, yeah, I'm not gonna like disrespect you like that. Just to be like, no, there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah,
like
I'm very
at least aware of the feelings there, and we'll see where the conversation goes. Because based on the previews, it seems like Joe gets a little messed up. His head's definitely spinning, and I can't blame him for that.
Yeah, I mean, talk about
even if he feels good about things with Serena, like this is still gonna have you going loopy.
I am very interested to see what the Joe and Kendall conversation ends like. And I'm also interested to see whether he ends up with Serena or Kendall or neither of them, because that seems like an option too, depending on how poorly this goes. So I am my interest is piqued, and chaos is about to ensue, and we
had them as one of our top couples too, so
we did. We'll see.
I mean, if we can't believe in love for Serena and Joe,
who can we believe in? I guess Riley and Marissa. Based on our rating.
Gonna have to be.
I don't know. That's just got to be a hard situation to be in, right? I don't need. I feel bad. I wonder what, like. How much does Kendall know, too, before she walks out there? Does she know that he's
I feel like she's going in blind.
Yeah, so she's about to walk into... I feel bad for her, too, but she's also, like, trying to win what may or may not have been the love of her life back, maybe? I don't know. This entire week was just an absolute clusterfuck.
And it looks like we got more clusterfuck to come.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Who do you think that Joe will end up with? Serena, Kendall, or no one?
Ooh. Again, like, I hadn't seen anything previously with...
I don't know anything about their... Yeah, I don't know anything about their relationship.
I'm not entirely sure about how I feel about their chemistry and everything. Definitely like Joe and Serena. So, with that, I want to lean towards it. But I feel like Joe could potentially goof the situation to where not only does he ultimately reject Kendall, but he doesn't do it in the right way that makes Serena lose confidence in him, and she walks away. So Joe ends up with nobody, and not by his own decision. That's kind of what I'd put as number 2.
Oh, you think that he's gonna end up with nobody?
Is the number 2 option? I think I
still
lean towards Serena as the first.
Sure.
And then I'd put third being with
Yeah, I think that if Joe and Kendall were to have worked out previously, I don't think Paradise is going to change anything. So, they've been separated for over a year now. I think that you've had a year to try to work it out. And so, if you haven't figured it out by now, it probably isn't going to get worked out.
Well,
so,
like we said, we think there are some other underlying issues going
yeah.
on there that weren't brought up. So, I mean, an apology can go a long way for maybe something that she wasn't as sensitive to. It really hurt Joe. So,
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah,
it's gonna be exciting.
So the episode ends
Get
in a
your
cliff.
popcorn.
Yeah, the episode ends in a cliffhanger. I'm gonna say, Josh, that I think Joe will probably end up with Serena, and that the second most likely option is that he ends up single, and that the third option is Kendall. So I think I agree with you completely.
Okay.
Because, like I said, I think that if they were to have worked out, they've had a year time before Paradise to try to figure this stuff out. I get that travel was hard because of the way that the world was, and they don't exactly live close to begin with, but still, you kind of had time to figure this out. I'm sure that they've talked after they broke up at some point. So,
with the single option, is that by his doing, or is it by like Serena and Kendall's doing?
No, yeah, I think that regardless, that he's going to try to pursue something with Serena, and that if he were to end up single, it'd because he and Serena didn't work out, independent of Kendall. I think Kendall being there is just going to cause a little bit of chaos, but I don't really think anything's going to come of it. So
there is the world where Joe is just so thrown off by Kendall. He knows things ended and he doesn't want to go back, but he just doesn't feel comfortable, like, in the mindset he is at this point, trying to pursue something with anyone else, so he's just gonna walk away and go home.
I don't think that's gonna happen, so we'll see. But yeah, that's the week. That was week 3, Josh.
Yeah, crazy week.
Love triangle after love triangle. Yeah, I mean, just lots of love being thrown around and a lot of hate too. So we'll see kind of what week 4 brings, but I am excited to see the Joe and Kendall conversation coming up. I don't know about you. Did you have any questions before we kind of leave today? Any lasting...
No, I think we hit everything in my notes this week.
Yeah.
So I don't really have anything to drop back on.
Yeah. My only...
So I'm all good.
Yeah. My outlasting questions are, what is going to happen between Noah and Abigail? And what is going to come of the Kendall and Joe Serena situation? Because, once again, I guess we've got another love triangle. But only time will tell those. But yeah, let's go ahead and sign off then. As always, guys, I was the Han Factor. This was Batch Bros Live. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like the content, you want to see more, then like, follow, subscribe to the channel. If not, I hope you have a great day. As always, I was joined by my co-host, Josh, the Tasty Kebab. Josh, do you want to say bye to everybody?
Yep. Have a good night, guys. See you next week. We'll be back.
Yep. And so that was us. We will see you guys later, and bye now.